TCL is absolutely on fire this year with their third TV release, the surprise drop of the TCL QM8K. Up next.
I've seen things most people wouldn't believe.
All right, guys, let's do it. I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Let's do a quick unboxing of the 85-inch TCL QM8K Quantum Dot Mini LED. Now, I'll be unboxing the QM8K with the excellent QM7K 65-inch looking on, just to highlight a few of the small differences as well as the massive differences between the two. Starting off with the stand, you have a plastic black stand, center stand on the QM7K, metal stand on the QM8K. Now, my primary reason for showing you guys unboxing is simply to show you how well these TVs are packed. The QM8K is an ultra premium display, and it's packed very well. You want to make sure, especially at 85 inches, these TVs get to you very safe. A lot of manufacturers are skimping on the smallest details, such as this bubble wrap that goes between the cardboard and the screen to protect it. You saw it come in this large crate. My favorite part of unboxing TVs is this first unveil of the chassis. You see the new and improved Ultra Bass Enhanced Bang & Olufsen sound system, but seeing the body and the chassis for the first time is my favorite part of unboxing any new TV. Right off the bat, you can tell the QM8K is just on another level in terms of its design. Metal everywhere. Difference in the remotes from the QM7Ks, you have a metal backlit remote on the QM8K. That is a nice touch when you're talking about buying a premium TV in a specific lineup, to have the flagship be separate in these ways. The stand assembly is virtually the same as the QM7K. You just have the metal front. Very easy to install. You pop off the back, that way you can screw them together. You have the different levels that you can put it on, more flush and a little higher, showing you the differences here. It's not a huge difference, but it does make the QM8K look much more premium than the QM7K. Quick look at the HDMI inputs. I love the design of the QM8K. Again, very premium. You're going to hear that word premium throughout the video, and it's a very important detachable power cable. Closer look at the HDMI inputs. You have 4 HDMI, 2 are HDMI 2.1, capable of 4K 144 Hertz. What I love what TCL does is it does not use the eARC as one of the HDMI 2.1. Here are the two different stand positions. Here is the more elevated stand, and when I assemble it entirely, it'll be the more flush stance. I do want that to be a little bit lower, considering it is an 85-inch TV. Google interface, but even having the two stand positions is excellent. And again, the TV is very well protected, plastic everywhere. Be careful taking it all off. Very well protected. Again, plastic on all the bezels and all the sides, but here is our favorite part of any TV unboxing, is removing the last wrapping off the screen. Now you can also see some of the glare from the windows. We are in a very bright room, but its anti-reflection is actually quite good. A lot of the beginning of the video is going to be in this bright room with windows. Love this borderless design. Now, borderless versus bezel-less, what's key is you see the very small badging on the QM8K. The borderless and bezel-less means you have a very thin bezel, which is the silver bezel, which is virtually invisible throughout this video. But the borderless is, even on very thin OLEDs, you will still have that black border inside where the screen is. So even though they look very thin, that black border does add up to something. It is literally gone on the QM8K. That is a ridiculous look for this TV. The premium look of this TV, as you can see me panning around the room. Going into our first bit of demo material, the room is still relatively bright and the glare is really not a problem at all, as well as the silver bezel that many of you don't love, but it does look very premium, virtually disappears even in a bright room. Now let's get this out of the way right in the beginning of the video. The QM8K is a premium high-end quantum dot mini LED. Finally, TCL can truly shed that moniker of being a value-based brand. Yes, that value-based title and moniker has served them. However, they did need a model to delineate the lineup, to truly separate from the value aspect of their TV lineup. Now, this precision dimming lineup with the QM6K, QM7K, QM8K does have value in it with the QM6K, but the QM8K is clearly on another level, both in terms of design and picture quality. Now we'll also go through the different presets very quickly. We'll visit this later in the picture settings portion of the video, but having filmmaker mode has been very helpful for TCL this year, and it is very accurate out of the box. You can see us go very natural, now over to very saturated and punchy. TCL's signature was always saturation, brightness with an excellent black level. But there was always a loss of shadow detail. That is gone this year. They have found that refinement of bright, bold, saturated, but shadow detail is here. Also, color out of the box in filmmaker mode is what you're seeing here. Looks excellent. You still have the vibrancy, but not the oversaturation that they had before, which is something that they liked having in the other presets, but they lacked the ability to bring that down when they went into the more accurate presets. That has now been resolved. And even though I like to wander out of the presets, I stayed in filmmaker and movie much of the time throughout this video. Some of the punchier scenes you're seeing, I jumped into intelligent, which is really a mixture between vivid and standard without any additional noise. The local dimming is phenomenal for TV that's this bright. The spec reads high HDR 5000 brightness. Moving into some animation from our good friend Jennifer Gala. Special shout out to the one and only Jennifer Gala and her second channel, HDR SUPER CHANNEL. She is responsible for 98% of the content you've seen within this intro and video. Check the description below for links to both her channels and consider becoming a Patreon member to her main channel and download all of this amazing work in full Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. Thank you so much, Jen. Now the QM8K is not just about that peak brightness or 5000 nits. Typically a TV that is that bright will look washed out. It's really the contrast ratio. Very deep blacks while still retaining that shadow detail is what TCL has really learned to master this year. They have the new 23-bit Halo control system, a new WHVA panel where the QM6K and QM7K both had the HVA panel. The WHVA panel is definitely on another level. Now, why I said surprise drop of the QM8K? Well, there was really no information that the WHVA panels would be here this year. HVA panels were new this year, and at CES, there was no mention of the QM8K. They showed the X11K, the QM6, the QM7, and we even asked them about the QM9K, and all of a sudden we got the notice, hey, the QM8K is showing up in a few weeks. Now moving into our local dimming test from Jen is this white light dripping down. I've sped it up a little bit and definitely on angle it handles it amazingly. And we are actually in a bright preset during this test. We're actually in intelligent right now. What I love is the specular highlights. Even as the screen gets full of white, it remains bright the entire time. And the off-angle viewing is excellent. You'll see a little bit of haloing. It is a mini LED after all, but the local dimming is phenomenal. And again, the key is even as more white is on screen, it remains bright the entire time. In order to see any blooming, we have to go way off angle to the complete side of the QM8K. Very impressive. Moving into our black bar test. Nothing on angle, and we actually have to go way off angle again in a bright preset to see a little bit of the haloing there. Very impressed with the local dimming, which is really what's most important with any mini LED. If you want to be bright, you're gonna have to deal with some blooming, but there is minimal on the TCL QM8K at 85 inches. This is also a torture test. Is you pan over, again, being in a bright preset, we're in intelligent here, we're not in filmmaker. So I'm actually trying to make it bloom. This is a very hard transition with the rain, the smoke, and the light showing you the specular highlights. What I love also about the QM8K, it's one of the few mini LEDs out there where the stars sparkle like an OLED. Even the best mini LEDs in the world, even the 8K ones, those stars would look very dull in comparison to an OLED. They actually sparkle on the QM8K, which I don't think I've ever really seen before. Now back to the surprise drop I was alluding to earlier. TCL is absolutely killing it this year. Very aggressive. The QM6K was the first TV released this year by far, which is new for them. The QM7K was officially the second mini LED, not just released by them, but released by anybody this year. Now they have this third TV. We still expect the X11K at some point and perhaps the QM9K at some point, but they would be all set with these three models. I'll also compare the QM8K to the QM7K. Now, while the QM7K is only 65 inches and this one's 85, I'm still going to compare them. I don't have that many TVs in terms of picking and choosing what sizes I have. So you'll see that comparison very, very soon. And then I'll compare all three, the QM6K, QM7K, and QM8K, and give you a look at the entire precision dimming lineup. Now we're in a completely dark room. The QM8K looks absolutely stunning. That borderless design, that bezel-less design, virtually it disappears. It looks like the TV is floating in mid-air. Absolutely gorgeous. TCL has been aggressive, not just with their image quality, their marketing, their processing is also now very good, but their design, even the QM8K at 115 was more elegant than previous years, but this is now again on another level. Now we'll go over a quick picture settings overview showing you the different presets, but also the sound. If you move into custom, the Bang & Olufsen has this bright, relaxed, energetic, and warm feature, and we'll show that a little bit later in the audio section. You also have different sound presets. We'll go over those as well. Now I'm going to fly through these quickly, but the flexibility of image for me is super important. The presets are there for a reason. Now make sure when you start the TV, the adaptive brightness is enabled by default. Turn that off. It is a cool feature, but you want that off initially so you can get a feel for the brightness of the QM8K. But the flexibility of image is super important, being able to change so many of these features. Now the tone mapping is actually locked in this movie preset, so you're not seeing a difference as I toggle it. It is there on the other presets. However, dynamic contrast, all these other, even local dimming, very impactful. We want that in any TV to where you can change the image to whatever you like and for whatever room you're also in. Having micro contrast, having these different processing tools available is something that TCL is also so much better at. Also having this adaptive color temperature is something new as well. Not just the brightness, but the color temperature will change with the room. You have your white balance, 2-point, 20-point calibration settings. You have a lot of different ways, again, to tweak that image. Now, dynamic color is something that is not enabled in movie mode, but in the other presets it is present, which also shows you that TCL is looking to be very accurate in its movie preset and filmmaker preset, but having that change of signature, but still letting the QM8K run wild in intelligent and in standard and vivid. You also have other motion interpolation settings. You saw me with the LED motion clear and the dynamic acceleration. We're going to add the dynamic acceleration here. As you see, when you toggle one shuts off. Now we'll move into this fast motion demo from Jen with the whales. With dynamic acceleration enabled, which creates a higher frame rate. We're looking for artifacting, and the motion is very good. Even enabling the LED clear, which is really their new 480 MEMC frame insertion feature. Again, no artifacting, and the image doesn't get dark at all, and there isn't really flickering that I can see, and I'm sensitive to that. Well, here we'll enable it and disable it. What's cool about this scene is it's a very bright scene, which can be washed out on mini LEDs. By adding the LED clear, it doesn't really dim it, it actually gives it more contrast. And again, no motion issues at all, but really showing you more flexibility of image, both in image quality and in motion. Let's move on to Dolby Vision. Now, TCL being one of the only manufacturers that have Dolby Vision, HLG, HDR10 Plus, having all of the formats, their implementation is also much better. Crystal clear, Dolby Vision Bright, Dolby Vision IQ, and even their Dolby Vision Dark doesn't crush or get too dark as you see from a lot of the other manufacturers. And even in dark movies like Nosferatu, there wasn't any black crush or loss of shadow detail. And I'm showing you The Shining. These aren't the best in terms of transfers, and they still look phenomenal, showing you that the upscaling is also excellent. I use The Shining because of its strong grain structure, and if the processing is not up to snuff, it won't look great in Dolby Vision. It looks excellent on the QM8K. Let's move into HDR10 Plus. Now, HDR10 Plus won't have its own menu, but it will have its own indicator, and it is enabled on the QM8K, as well as the QM6K and QM7K. Looks excellent, a lot of flexibility of image in HDR10 Plus. Amazing that it has all these different formats, HDR10 Plus, Dolby Vision, and HLG. Let's move into 1080p SDR with one of my favorite movies, American Werewolf in London. And this is where TCL has done a ton of improvement. There's still some improvement to be had, but such a great job over what it used to really struggle with. Moving into our Columbo upscaling test, same thing here. It's nearly impossible to make Columbo from the 60s and 70s look good. Does look very good here. Again, upscaling has become a strength for TCL. It was one of their biggest weaknesses, and they're getting better and better each year. Let's check out some 4K SDR content. When it comes to SDR content, a lot of you forget to move outside of Filmmaker. There are other presets that are brighter with each one of these TVs that have reported low SDR brightness. The brightness is also low by default. So if you want the image brighter, simply go into your brightness and raise that. I'm here in the movie preset and it is plenty bright, but you can again use those other presets. I always hear that SDR is dim on this TV or that TV. Well, get yourself out of Filmmaker, guys. Jump into the movie preset or even the standard preset or the sports preset for SDR. Even that motion setting that I did was in the sports preset. That's why these presets are here. Let's move into the audio settings for the TCL QM8K. Now, TCL has always had good, loud audio, but now it's about having refinement and having very good audio. You do have the enhanced based Bang & Olufsen system here on the QM8K over the other QM7K and QM6K, showing you the different sound presets, the equalizer, Now the Biosonic, you will need to have the QM8K in the custom sound setting, and then you'll be able to toggle the brightness, the warmth, this relaxed, energetic, really change the sound to your liking. You have the equalizer here. Now we're going to move into some sound from our good friend Jennifer Gala. Please turn your volume up and let's listen to the TCL QM8K. Moving into gaming, what I love about what TCL is also doing this year is the minute a console or PC is attached, this game bar comes up. You don't have to look for it, and it describes what each feature does. You can keep it turned on or off, but it goes in automatically. Also, the game mode is gorgeous in its original preset. You also do have HCIG available, which I'll show you in a moment. We're rocking the Game Accelerator 288, as well as having AMD FreeSync Premium Pro. The game mode looks excellent, also an improvement over years past where the game mode is very clear now. You have 144 Hz at 4K as well as 1080p 288 Hz. I'll do a separate gaming video on the QM8K and the QM7K. I'll put those two together. You have the three different picture presets: original, FPS, and RPG. Each can also be customized, but the original preset is my favorite. You also have all the information above the console you're on: the FPS, your HDR indicator, auto low latency mode indicator, and VRR indicator. You can also check your FPS here. You can engage HCIG, which also looks very good, and you still have access to the three different presets while HCIG is enabled. Though I do prefer to have the original preset enabled without HCIG, it's amazing to have that feature added. You also have a high frame rate mode, which you'll enable when you are on a PC to get that 144 Hz. You can change the theme to make it cartoony, blue or green. The game bar is very clean, and that fact sheet shows you all of the features individually if you're curious. You also have your aiming aid, crosshairs. The shadow enhancer you can enable to make things brighter, though I don't suggest using that unless you feel it's too dark. Moving into Dirt 5, what's key here in regards to local dimming is as we're driving around, many LEDs and LEDs of the past would show blooming when you're inside the car. We switch to the in-car view, no problems at all. The local dimming in game mode is phenomenal and as good as it is in the other presets watching other content. Local dimming has always suffered with mini LEDs, not the case anymore, and certainly not the case with the QM8K. Also moving into Returnal, this is a game that always had challenges with that. If you look at the heads-up display, very bright, But the heads-up display, there is no haloing around any of the indicators that you see on screen. Looks fantastic. Now, gaming has always been important for TCL, but now it's about gaming features, specs, but clarity of image, and the motion is excellent. There is no blurring or artifacting of any kind. Very clear, vibrant image, even in 1080p gaming. HDR, cute games like Astrobot look gorgeous as well. Very happy with the QM8K overall sound, design, gorgeous image. The gaming also on point. In closing, it's time to officially welcome TCL to the premium TV market. The QM8K clearly shows their dedication to not only image quality, but also the design and audio quality. TCL also delivers on its promises in the same calendar year. The WHVA panel we thought would be well off into the distance, and here it is with improved viewing angles and better local dimming. 23-bit Halo system, upscaling and processing getting better all the time, as well as the engineers being open to any problems that we had found on their earlier TVs earlier this year and making those adjustments in just a few weeks. It is a premium product and it's worth its premium price. Easily recommended. I'm Brian, this is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Love you guys. Take care.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. There can be only one.